In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a table in a database. But first, because we don't have any database, we need first to create our database. So we already have the syntax here. We just need to delete the drop syntax from the query. And after that, we need to add the script or the syntax to create a table in MySQL. So let's first create the database DSG, click on execute, and after that let's go and refresh schemas so we can find our database here. After that we need to use a command to connect to our database. This command is use and the database name. In several cases, we don't need to use it if we are connected to the same database. But let's say you was connecting to a different database, not to your database. Let's say you have another database here. And in case that you start typing the command to create a table, it will be created in the other database, not in the one that you want. So that's why it's a good practice to use this command all the time to be sure that you are going to create or to deal with the database that you want. So you type use database name, and after that you can start typing your command to create a table. And to create a table you just need to type create table and the table name. And here the table name is department, and open parentheses here, and you can start typing the columns that you want to include in that table. So this table is department. I call this table department. So let's say I need these two columns, department ID and department name. Let's say I need just these two columns. And when you type the column name, you need to put in front of the column the data type for that column. So for department ID, I need it to be an integer, a numeric integer. So I typed here integer. Everything after that is optional based on your business scenario. So for example, here I typed not null. It's a constraint forcing the data entry to insert a value in that column. And auto increment. The values are going to be entered automatically, and by default, the values will start from 1. And increase by 1 unless you mention something else, and you are going to see that later on. After you finish with the first column, you need to type comma, and after that you type the name of the second column here, department name. And department name is a character or text or string. We are going to use this data type varchar and 255 characters. We need to add 255 characters. So we have flexibility to type up to 255 character in that name. And as you learned, varchar means if we type something less than 255, it's going to be shrink to save storage space. And we typed here not null because we need to force the data entry to insert a value, not to leave this record without a value. Comma, and after that we type primary key department ID to make department ID a primary key. And as you learned, primary key is a constraint used in a table to identify a certain record, to give a unique value to a certain record inside that table. So primary key is department ID, so each department ID will have a unique ID which is different from any other department. And after that we close the parentheses, and we added here the semicolon just in case that we need to type something after this code. That's it. So now, because we already created the database, we just need only to select this part of the code and click on this icon, and here we go. As you see here, we got this green indication. That means we already created this table successfully. Click on tables here under this database, and you can see this table already created. Click on the table department, click on columns, and you can see these two columns. You may increase the size to see the full name. So that's how to create a table using a script. In the next tutorial, we are going to see how to do that using the graphical interface. So stay tuned.